Hey everyone, it's Pat Brown here. Sending some footage, doing a race review of the Mainline Pro 1-2 Crit here in 2021. Um, a little bit of a frustrating race for me. Definitely made plenty of mistakes here, so we'll definitely go over a lot of those here. Seemed like a pretty mundane start, but then things really started to kick off and I just found myself way out of position, really not thinking much. I was really hoping for a pretty smooth run into the finish with everyone together, but that's really not how it played out here. So we started the race here with already a few laps in. As you can see on the left, we're already about 3 miles in, about 6, 7 minutes in. You see, we're starting to be lined out. Now I don't have the rear cam on here, but I know there's probably just a few guys behind me. And so I'm pretty close to the back of the pack. Now we started with around 30 or so guys, and so 30 guys lined out. This is what you're going to get. Now, again, some gaps were kind of open. I was planning on closing it down through this corner. You can see some gaps are forming. I ended up not, so I need to spike up. And it looks like this guy tried to do the same thing and just left too much of a gap open. We do close it down a bit here, but then we have to surge way out. So still reading some of the corners here, not super great. Again, having to spike up, leaving that gap open. So there's a little bit of mistake with energy, not too bad. Heart rate is in check. So, um, so now we're going to kind of get to the pivotal moments here. So I think the first one is this here. I see that the group starts to bunch up, and as you look right forward, there's a group up the road. At this point, alarm bells should have been ringing. But I remember that happening, that Doylestown rider cut across and took that corner really tight. And I remember focusing on that rather than really looking up the road, knowing I need to accelerate, I need to go now because the race is getting up the road. And I found that in the past too. For some reason, uh, I guess my focus is just elsewhere compared to where it needs to be. Whether something funky happens or something out of the ordinary happens, that seems to grab sometimes a little bit too much of the attention. Where maybe in the future that would be a good cue to say, okay, what's the overall race situation? Which you can see there are some definite gaps forming. All right. So really, I didn't think the course was too technical, but definitely technical enough to start causing some splits here. It was a really good course, a little bit bumpier than what I remember from years past, and actually it jarred my bars a little bit, especially entering and exiting this bridge, and then through some of the other turns. So basically, at this point right there is where I said, okay, this is where the race is getting out of hand, out of my control. I need to make that bridge up. And so I finally, probably about a half a lap too late, saw, okay, this is where I need to actually go. And so I think that we're kind of catching it, get kind of caught behind some riders. And I see that we kind of get lined back up. We're punching it out hard. And so again, my brain goes from, okay, this is a red flag to, now let these people close the gap. Everything's going to be fine. And so what I didn't know is that just to add another nail into the coffin here, there's going to be a guy who clips a pedal. The first guy in this group of guys, it's tough to see behind the Doylestown rider, but he will pedal through. He'll clip there, almost low side, almost high side, and then and that has everyone pulling on the brakes, and we lose a lot of momentum, which means probably another 3 seconds or so, all in all, even with punching it up this riser on the bridge to try to get back up to speed. So that was just another nail in the coffin. So basically, about a half a lap later, I decided it was my time to go. I just have to try to see what I can do if I'm gonna try to get across this gap. I have to do it sooner rather than later because we're just hemorrhaging time. So I end up just trying to go as quickly as I can to bridge across, but um, but unfortunately, really there was no way I'd be able to make it, even punching up doing, VO2 max plus efforts. So it definitely frustrating at this point. I was hoping I could see my first few laps that I was out doing this. I could see them coming through coming through the turns ahead, but then I saw I was just losing time on them, and I was really hoping that we'd be able to work a little bit more and just hope for a miracle that the groups ahead would slow down, and I could get everyone in the group behind working together a little bit better. But as you can see, I kind of slow things down a little bit, get caught, and then the chase, well, the main group here with the first split, just up the road. So, because basically the race was done and dusted at this point. We're basically fighting for 13th. They actually gave us a preem lap, so so we decided to, well, I basically just got done chasing a bit before this. I had a little bit of time to recover, and so now we're midway through that preem lap, and it's a young guy decides to go for it. And so, knowing that really, besides this, my race is done, I thought, well, I might as well see. They probably won't get too far out, and I'll see what I can do about trying to make my way up to them. I remember looking behind and try to take the preem. So I remember looking behind me before that last turn before the bridge and saw I had a gap, so I wasn't towing anyone. And so now all that time that they got, they're starting to play games. So you can see everyone's looking behind them. I was also looking behind them, and I was just going to try to wait it out over these guys, and it ended up working. This young guy ended up giving me a pretty good lead out, and at this point, I knew that I had the preem all wrapped up. So sometimes patience definitely definitely is good when it comes to this sort of situation, but I definitely should have been a little bit less patient early in the race. So so now there's 12 guys up the road. We're going for 13th place. And this is with one lap to go. We're going under the banner, and there's someone who goes for the last lap flyer. Now, this this course is right about a mile or so, and there is a little bit of elevation, loss and gain each lap. So I really wasn't sure if this is going to come back. What I ended up doing, as you could see there, is I decided to try to punch it to see if I could get a little bit of a gap. But people started coming with me, and I saw this rider here. He used to be on the Young Medalists. Um, I believe his name's Nate. So he pulled quite a bit of this back, wanting to be all together, and I was able to take advantage of that after a quick surge. At this point, I'm seeing we're catching these guys. We're catching like the last lap and a half flyer, and so now we're all together for the fighting for 13th place. I see there are definitely some eager guys here. Um, And so then I'll just basically at this point snap onto any wheel that decides to go, because at this point, if you hesitate, that can be the race. So I make it clean through all these. Now I was anticipating, especially because it's about 300, 400 meters from this corner to the finish line. So I knew basically people are going to probably go early. I need to jump on wheels. And so I decided to leave a gap open. Now this is probably about a bike and a half or 2 bike lengths back. I know it looks a little bit longer, but I think I left it. I wasn't quite getting as good as a draft as I was looking for, but I wanted a draft to sprint into. So I decided now should be the right time, probably with around 200 meters to go, to sprint up into the draft, come around, and I looked to my right and I needed a little bit of a bike throw just to solidify that, and came in for the field sprint, well, the second field sprint win. So again, trying to stay into the draft here, sprinting into the draft, since I believe it was a little bit of a tailwind on this finishing straight, so wasn't getting as much of a draft as I wanted to, but enough to be able to have a good acceleration even after doing that 7 minute effort halfway through the race and able to come through with that. So definitely a lot of lessons learned here for the next few races coming up, positioning early. And yeah, if you like this sort of video, please like, please subscribe, and leave the comments down below, and we'll catch you at the next one.